Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Welcome to NFL Moving the Line Week 2. Here are your hosts, Lou Saban, John Morgan.
What's going on, guys? Moving the line. We got week 2 coming up. We got Lou Saban, that's me. We got my good buddy, John Morgan.
How's everybody doing? Welcome to our useless podcast show.
Yeah, worthless. But we're going to try to redeem ourselves. We're talking, what are we talking? We're talking news. We got a little bit of fantasy, and we got the gambling guru, John Morgan. Talk a little gambling, right?
Yeah, little guru. We can call it guru this week, though. A little 2 for 5 action, so hopefully we can improve on that.
Yeah, well, so what would you say is the biggest story of the week, John, for news, for football?
I would say the Patriots having the upset over the Cardinals for sure.
You know, I'm going to say that's the second biggest story for this week. The biggest story for this week is one John Morgan. Let's see. Let's take a look here at my list. We got a fantasy loss.
This is going to be good.
We got a fantasy loss in our league. We got you lost in the worst quarterback contest.
Yep.
We lost in moving the line. My Bucks came through. And you got absolutely trounced in the quarterback versus running back debate last week. Everybody agrees upon that.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Can we have to elaborate there. Quarterback versus running back debate. How did I get trounced?
All the reader email came in and said you got trounced. Just trust me on that.
Oh, no.
So basically, my question for you.
We need some facts here.
My question for you, John, is: are you considering quitting the podcast? A, or B, just quitting watching football altogether after that sorry performance?
So how about we take a look at the quarterback versus running back debate again?
Okay.
Since you brought it up.
Well, we've got a Craigslist ad up right now for a new co-host. Do you want me to take it down, or are you going to continue to watch football?
Do you want to grandstand on useless facts?
I would love to grandstand on useless facts. That's my best skill.
I know you're a lawyer and you like to grandstand, even though you couldn't do it till you're a bartender. So we can move on and try and figure something out here.
So you're 0 for 12 on my list here.
So let's take a look. You picked your quarterback in the first round? Is that correct? Second round. How many points did he get you?
20-something.
I picked mine in the 6th round, 7th round, and I believe you got me 35.
Who's the number one scorer this week?
Who's the number one what?
Scorer this week.
As far as?
Everything. We got Andrew Luck. Who's number 2? Drew Brees. All right.
Didn't you?
Who was your quarterback pick for this week?
I beat you, didn't I? Didn't my 7th round?
Who was your quarterback pick for this week?
I think RG3 is going to have a decent season.
What's that, RG3? Oh, my God. Hold on. What was that, John? I couldn't quite hear you.
All right, you got me on that one. See,
I'm
at least mad enough to admit when I'm wrong. RG3 out had a bad game. Still a long season.
Who was your Super Bowl pick this week?
The Browns.
Who was it, John? I didn't hear it.
I like the Browns.
So
you like the Browns. Wow.
So now this is what Lou is doing here. He's taking random things and he's just throwing them out there.
King of cherry picking.
Trying to bait me on to something that when he knows he loses at something, he tries to pick
What did I lose at? You lost at everything this week,
Your
John.
quarterback got 20-something points.
I won.
Mine got 35. How many points did your team get, Lou?
The
How
team
many
that I
points did your
played
team get?
had an excellent defense.
I believe my team
They
got more
played
points
great
than you,
defense
right?
against me, and you don't understand football because you don't understand how defenses work.
See, this is where we're going to get to later on in our show. We talk about fantasy versus reality.
I love fantasy.
Lou seems to think fantasy is reality right now, which, as everyone listening is going to know, that's not the case.
John, I would like to go on record as saying you are my fantasy.
We all know that.
All right, moving on.
Hold on. I don't think we're done yet.
Oh, we're not ready.
There's one more topic I want to talk about when it goes to, since you brought it up.
Yep.
Who did you pick in the 7th round?
I don't remember. I don't know. Do you know who I picked?
Yeah, you.
Who did I pick?
A lovely running back and the name of the Redskins. Can you think of it?
Matt Jones.
Matt Jones.
Yeah.
How many points did he get for
Not
this
a lot.
week?
2?
2.
Yeah.
Now, I'm mad enough to admit.
He was terrible. Florida Gator. Awful.
And I'm mad enough to admit. Yeah. My pick when you drafted your quarterback, Gurley. Horrible.
Yeah, but he'll get better though.
Exactly. He will get better. Now, 1 week. We'll see what happens.
Gotcha.
Over the course of the season, let's add it up. And we're going to talk about Lou's wonderful math. So
math. I'm into it.
Last week, Lou wanted to say Aaron Rodgers equals 300. That's Lou's version of math. So
I don't believe I said that. I said Cam Newton.
I believe it was.
Cam Newton had
Aaron Rodgers. This is Lou last week. Blah, 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 blah. Aaron Rodgers 300. Nope. That's math, John. No, that's not math. What math is when you take Andrew Luck, supposedly get 300 points, add on to Gurley's 250 points. That's 500
until he dies.
That's
in
550
until he dies in
points.
week 4.
And then you get Aaron Rodgers with his 300 points, plus Matt Jones with his 125 points.
2 points.
500 is 400. So
What's 2 times 16, John? You want to do math?
So we know the difference there. The difference is 87 points. Is that what we have?
So let the record state that I do not respect John Morgan's opinion, and I think
Likewise.
he's wrong. Yeah, good.
Likewise.
At least we agree on something,
Likewise.
right? Can we move on to news, John?
Yeah, let's
Are
do
you
news.
done?
Are we going to talk about injuries this week?
Yeah. So Sammy Watkins, beginning of the week, out for the season, now possibly playing tonight. That's crazy, isn't it?
Well, we'll see if he plays tonight.
They said it basically.
We'll see how much action he gets tonight.
They said basically it sounded like an alligator had ripped his foot off, and now he just said his foot was tired.
He could be pulling a Belichick here. You never know.
He's
you know
way
what's
too
gonna
dumb to do
happen.
that. Rex Ryan's pulling a Belichick.
He loves Belichick.
That's true. So Keenan Allen dead.
Sometimes I think injuries might help a team, and I think this could be one of the cases. Phillip Rivers always loves to throw the long ball.
Yeah.
And when you have guys like Woodhead, Melvin Gordon, I think it might benefit the team. I mean, it's a long season, who knows, but it could help.
Yeah, it could, and they don't have no shortage of good receivers over there and good receiving backs. Melvin Gordon, fact or fiction, he was amazing first half, and then
was.
Woodhead took over second half.
Yeah.
You believe in Melvin Gordon?
Well, I think I drafted my fantasy team.
Did
So,
you?
yeah.
Did you play him?
I did play him.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's ballsy.
Played him.
Two touchdowns and disappeared in the second half.
Didn't help me with a win, but
Yeah.
it did help me get more points than your team.
Yeah, well, I won anyways. Look at the scoreboard, Sean. You don't understand fantasy defenses. So a lot of injuries. Week 1, we're going to be talking about this every week, I feel. Big injuries every week. It's going to happen every week
It's
in the
football.
NFL. It's football. It's the way it goes, right? So we're going to move on to one of John's favorite topics here. Jack Del Rio going for 2 on 4th down against the Saints.
That was an incredibly ballsy move.
So that's one of the things they say you're supposed to go for 2 on the road, right? Go for the win on the road, right?
If you're a coach like Bill Belichick and you go for 2, he might get questioned a little bit, but let's face it, nothing's going to happen to him.
Yeah.
No one's going to. His job's not going to be threatened about it. You're not going to hear from the owners, anything like that.
You're not going to hear
Del Rio, questionable history.
Yeah.
There was a ballsy move, and I'm happy he got it right. Or
Yeah.
I shouldn't say got it right because I think it was the right decision to make.
Well, it
happy
ended up being
worked.
right.
I'm happy it worked.
Yeah.
I think it was the right decision. Neither team could stop each other. So
Great game
at
in New
that
Orleans.
point,
Great game.
If you have to go into overtime, both defense playing like shit,
Yeah.
go for 2, win the game right there. I'm happy it worked for him.
That was like when did the Saints win the Super Bowl? Was it 2009 or something like that?
I'm not sure of the exact year.
That was kind of like watching one of those Saints games, just back and forth. It was like watching a Baylor football game. Remember when RG3 played for Baylor? They scored like 70-65.
Yeah, the Saints can't seem to stop anybody, though. This went on last year. At home, they have no problem putting up points. Defense on the road, sometimes, they can't obviously don't put up as many points, but this has been an ongoing thing for the Saints, especially the last 2 years.
Saints lost their scapegoat this year too, because the big scapegoat last year, Rob Ryan. He is secretly terrible as a defensive coordinator, and now he's up in Buffalo.
His history has not been that good.
He's
so.
never been good. So the Saints, this is something I wanted to talk about. The Saints, they tore it up on offense, but this week they go on the road. Let's take, for example, on my fantasy team, I got Willie Snead, right? He made a little bit of noise last year, but he blew up for 170 yards. Do I start Willie Snead on the road? I'm leaning towards no.
Well, you're the fantasy expert there.
Yeah, so I'm 1-0.
Who knows?
I'm the victorious fantasy expert. Thank you.
Going by history, them going on the road, you're not going to have Crooks and Snead both having games like that. I highly doubt it. But, I don't see how you could start him. Who else do you have in the team?
I got like Alshon Jeffrey, who I feel like I got to start Alshon Jeffrey. Amari Cooper. I got to start Emmanuel Sanders. I don't know what I've got in Emmanuel Sanders, though.
I think if you drafted a wide receiver in the second round, you might have a better chance at having somebody else. But you might have to start him. You might have to start Snead since you didn't draft a better wide receiver in the second round.
I'm gonna Stephon Diggs. I don't know. What do you got with Stephon Diggs? Is Sam Bradford may start this week? Who knows?
I think Sam Bradford supposedly is going to start this week.
Yeah. All right. Well, no one cares about this news, John, because you know what we really want to talk about. We
More
want
or
to
less,
talk
this is
Patriots.
Useless topics.
No one cares about this. We want to talk Patriots.
Can we talk about what the line went to right before the game?
I saw 8.
9. It went
9?
all the way up to
Wow.
9 points.
I saw it at 8.
15. I believe it's been 15 years since the Patriots have been dogs by 9.
What made it move to 9?
I'm going to assume
Heavy money?
Well,
Heavy
I'm
Floyd
gonna
Mayweather
think-
get in there?
I'm going to think it's the fact that Gronkowski and 2 offensive linemen didn't make the flight. That couldn't have helped.
That news came out on Thursday.
It couldn't have helped, though.
Yeah. But that's a lot. That line moved a lot. But you know the number one story for Patriots, Jimmy Garoppolo. So we're gonna start with a whole bunch of Patriots fans overreaction. You want to do that with me? I'm ready.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo looked amazing in that game.
Amazing.
He looked super awesome.
The
It's
zip on the
only
football.
and that he knew exactly what third, fourth options he was hitting.
Yeah.
He had
Audibles.
Amendola on
He-
that.
He was not scared to call an audible.
Yeah, and God, I feel like Merrill Hodge with these stupid talking head words, but he showed a lot of poise.
Lou's favorite player, old player, Merrill Hodge.
Ugh, Merrill Hodge.
Who do you want to punch more, Merrill Hodge or Stephen A. Smith?
Stephen A. Smith. That's Merrill
easy
Hodge is
question.
probably hovering around. Although I feel like Merrill Hodge might be able to murder me because we have the same box head, though, right? Would you agree with
Lou
that?
does have a box head.
I have a square, boxy Merrill Hodge head. I hate listening to Merrill Hodge, though. He's just the epitome of dumb football guy talking head.
Doesn't Merrill Hodge love Tim Tebow? No, definitely not. It could be another reason why you dislike Merrill Hodge.
The only thing that I agree with Skip Bayless on is my undying love for Timothy Tebow. I love him, and I will love him forever. But Jimmy Garoppolo looked amazing. He was awesome out there. It's only one game. John Morgan.
How about that pass to Hogan?
Hogan apparently is a guy who can play.
I couldn't get over. I know
guess.
Hogan can definitely play, but I was amazed by Hogan's first step after he caught the football. I knew. I thought he would have a good season. I just couldn't believe how well he played.
John Morgan, does Jimmy Garoppolo get absolutely murdered in one of these 3 games coming up?
Murdered in which way?
Just
bad
beat
stat-
up,
bad
bad
stats,
game,
or just
beat up, bad game.
Yes.
Bad game, beat up.
I don't know how bad of a game he's going to have, but I think there's definitely going to be a game where he gets a lot of pressure on him. And, you know, like any quarterback in the NFL, though, if you get a lot of pressure on you and you get hit all the time, you're not going to perform. Look at Brady. Brady's one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Of all time.
And when he gets pressure, you know, he crumbles. Look at against the Broncos.
But then he came back in that fourth quarter. He was nasty, and that will forever live in my memory. I was never been.
They
more
didn't
proud
win the
of him.
game.
They didn't win the game, but he was throwing laser beams in that fourth quarter. I've never been so proud.
So what you're saying is there's something more valuable than just winning the game?
No, I'm just saying he got beat up.
So things are important, though, than winning?
Yeah, just not a lot of stuff.
You know,
not
so
in a fantasy
it's gonna-
kind of. Oh, you can
Why-
win a
why
moral
are you going-
victory
why are
in
you going to
fantasy if you want.
Oh,
You can
I'm
win
talking why are you talking about fantasy?
John
I'm talking
Morgan,
about the NFL.
John Morgan, moral champion from week 1, fantasy. So, all right, we're going to look at the Patriots schedule. We got Dolphins, Texans, Bills. Which one of those teams beats them up?
See, the Dolphins and the Texans right there, I'm torn between because I think the fact that you're going against Bill O'Brien, they both know each other well. I think it's going to be a tough game on the line in the trenches, and with our offensive line hurting the way it is. But the way the Dolphins played defense this past game, it's a coin flip for me. You know, I have not seen enough of both teams to guess.
Okay,
But
so
I
you
think-
don't think it's Dolphins? Is it Texans?
No, I'm saying it's either between the Dolphins or the Texans.
No, Texans got the J.J. Watt, obviously. He's nasty. Brock Osweiler, I guess he was all right.
Yeah,
You know,
but
it's all right.
I don't think Osweiler is going to be the one that's going to be hurting Jimmy Garoppolo.
I know,
So-
but I'm just saying the Texans could be a decent team.
Yeah. The Texans and the Dolphins, I think it's between.
If Osweiler does hurt Jimmy Garoppolo, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah, we're breaking some ground there.
All right, so I think the biggest point for me in the game was we beat the NFC favorite. I think it's fair to say that the Arizona's at least at the top of the list, top 3 NFC favorites
At least
preseason.
predicted going into it.
Yeah. You guys have
But-
Packers, Seahawks too.
What
but-
I'm really happy about, though, is the fact that you know just as well as I do, if that game went differently at the end and they made that field goal
Yeah.
and the Cardinals win the game,
Yeah.
everyone's singing a different tune about this game. And that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And
I would still feel pretty good about that game.
Oh, yeah, I would
even
feel
if we
good about
lost.
it as well. But
Yeah.
people would be saying so much different shit Garoppolo didn't win.
Yeah.
He lost his first game, and I'm happy the outcome of the game ended up the way it should because they beat the Cardinals. Not just on the score, they beat them throughout the whole football game.
Chandler Jones
They were
had
more
one for us,
aggressive
though.
than they were. They were a tougher team,
Wow.
and they outplayed them.
Yep.
So I'm happy that the field goal didn't make the difference on that.
Chandler Jones made us pay in that game. He was coming for us that whole game. He was all over Garoppolo.
Not as much as he could have been.
I guess that is technically true, John. And with that, we're finishing up the news section. We're going to go a little fantasy next.
We'll be back after this brief timeout with all the fantasy news that's fair to air.
You already know Kowloon Restaurant, established in 1950 and spanning 4 generations, serves a multi-Asian menu. Did you also know that Kowloon Restaurant is New England's premier Asian dining and entertainment complex, serving Cantonese, Szechuan, Thai, and Polynesian cuisine? And did you know that Kowloon Restaurant is also the home of the finest Japanese sushi? If you haven't dined at Kowloon Restaurant lately, then you simply haven't dined at Kowloon. Kowloon Restaurant, Route 1 North in Saugus.
Welcome back to NFL Moving the Line Week 2. Here are your hosts, Lou Saban, John Morgan.
Lou Saban, John Morgan, we're ready to talk about the subject that, quite frankly, will never get us laid, John. We're here to talk about fantasy football. And quick story, John and I, we bartended together for quite some time, right, John?
Almost 4 years.
Yeah, we bartended, so we spent a lot of time with each other. We probably spent more time with each other than we did with our significant others. So we talk about it a lot. And so it's very near and dear to our hearts. So one thing that I wanted to talk about first, just before we finish totally with Patriots, let's talk about Patriots fantasy, guys. And Patriots just year after year, really, really hard to pick a fantasy stud on the Patriots. And right now,
Besides for Gronkowski,
but he's out right now.
That's when you say you can only pick him when he's healthy. But luckily, it's week to week, so you can put him in whenever you want to.
Gronk's probably, what do you think, 60% to play this week?
With Belichick, you never know.
Why am I wasting my breath even pontificating on it? But so let's say no Gronkowski, no Brady. Who do you go with on the Patriots for a fantasy option?
If you're talking just week to week, looking at something, you don't know. I mean, you have to look at defenses, everything else you look at in fantasy. But the only one that is usually a consistent player is Julian Edelman.
I think RG3 is going to have a decent season.
John,
here we go again.
RG3 doesn't play for the Patriots. You're going to have to. I'm sorry.
Obviously, Lou is doing his thing again, where he likes to try and talk as much as he can because nobody.
That wasn't me.
Because nobody will hire him as a lawyer.
I'd hired myself. Thank you so much. I hired myself. I'm very happy about it. All right, so
back to the topic at hand, Lou.
Yeah, you like Edelman, but he disappeared in the second half.
He did, but what else is there? I mean, what other options do we have?
It's LeGarrette Blount is probably your number one option.
I think against certain teams, you pick their defense, but that's few and far between.
So if you had to pick one Patriots guy who's active right now, I guess it's LeGarrette Blount because he's probably going to get a touchdown.
I don't know. This week with Dolphins defense, it's a tough one.
Their running defense not great.
How long have you seen it when the Patriots, LeGarrette Blount gets 15 carries? White touches the ball more. Bolden touches the ball more. When Gray was in there, he touched the ball more. It's a revolving door of running backs. So you just kind of have to, I mean, you're the guy who thinks he knows something about fantasy.
I know everything.
So what would you say? I mean, if I had to pick Edelman, I'd pick Edelman. If it was Edelman or Gronk.
One thing I would certainly say.
I don't like the Browns.
No, I actually don't like the Browns.
Why is it that, are you forgetting what topic we're on here?
I actually did. What was the topic? No, but I think there's no quicker way to lose money than wagering on Patriots running backs.
Yeah.
Like, God, it's year after year after year. We've had two
then why
reliable
would you pick
ones.
LeGarrette Blount?
I think he is probably going to score a running touchdown on a regular basis. And so my baseline is so low. My baseline is 7 points.
Right.
Like, I think he is the most likely guy to get you 8 points.
I mean, I think the smarter call is nobody. I mean, if you're not going to say Gronkowski, if you're not going to say Edelman, if you want to take those two guys out of the equation, then I think you're safer just going with somebody else.
So
nobody says you have to pick a Patriots player.
No. So this is going to segue seamlessly into our next topic, John. This is something I wanted to bring up. I don't think anybody really knows anything about football.
especially when it comes to fantasy, or
Yeah.
or at least the yearly fantasy leagues.
And
There's way too many variables that come into play.
My God, there are so many people who are paid cajillions of dollars to talk about football, fantasy football. It is so random. And I was looking at my fantasy lineup for week 1. And I'm like, who do I start here? And who knows what any of these guys are going to do? I'm going to go through some of the players on my team. You know, Thomas Rawls, who knows? Emmanuel Sanders, who knows? Gary Barnidge, who knows? Amir Abdullah, who knows? T.J. Yeldon, Matt Jones, Stephon Diggs, Willie Snead, LeGarrette Blount. Who knows what any of those guys are going to do on a week-to-week basis? And it's so unpredictable. And 3 out of the top 10 scorers for this week in fantasy were not on anybody's roster. It's crazy.
See, this goes back to a point that I'm going to bring up soon. I don't believe there's any skill involved whatsoever in fantasy. You pick players.
Fantasy football, definitely.
In fantasy football. You pick players to start the season. In football, in the NFL, injuries play so much of a factor.
It's the number one factor.
You know, you don't know, you have no idea what's going to happen. That's why when it comes to these kind of leagues, it's how good's your bench, how good's this, and half the time, I would say 60%, maybe 75% of the players that you draft are on the team at the end of the year.
If that. John, wait a minute. More random, fantasy football or the Final Four brackets? It's tough to beat Final Four brackets.
Yeah, luckily we don't deal with that stuff on this show here.
Yeah,
this is the NFL.
But long story short, it's super random. It's very, very difficult, and your team is going to be configured with who you pick up on the waiver wire. The guy you pick up on the waiver wire in week 6,
Let me give you an example on how random this is. You take a guy like Des Bryant, who's drafted high in everyone's league.
First round every year.
And then Romo goes out.
Yep.
Now, if you have a guy that goes downfield, it's going to hurt you anyway, but not quite as much as when you have a quarterback like Prescott, who's throwing the ball to the tight end, a lot of dump passes.
Yep.
You know, Bryant didn't even get hurt, and it affects him. So
which is strange because he's usually hurt.
That's how random this kind of thing is.
Super random, John. One thing that I don't think is super random is A.J. Green is a stud. A.J. Green is a beast. If he can stay healthy, he is so talented. But what I wanted to talk about is Darrelle Revis. Did you see this game, John?
I did.
He got torched in this game. Darrelle Revis, they were targeting Darrelle Revis. And it's the craziest. I'm bringing this back to Patriots real quick.
A.J. Green is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL.
He's a beast. 3 years ago, he had the potential to lock up A.J. Green, though.
Well, I think what you're getting yourself down to, you're just saying because he's older now he can't?
You know what? That may be premature, but I'm just saying that Bill Belichick has the ability. He's like one of those cancer-sniffing dogs. You know, he has the ability to smell the death on
So what you're saying is
him.
the reason why this happened is because Bill Belichick isn't the coach of the Bengals. I mean, the coach of the Jets. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I think it's because Revis is on the decline.
Okay, so
and Belichick smelled
like
it.
I said, it's because you think he's getting older.
Yeah, and Belichick was able to sniff that out.
All right. Well, what do you think about now? Do you think to be a top cornerback in the NFL, you have to be able to shut down the best wide receivers?
I think to be able to garner the money that he got, yes.
Okay, that's I'm not saying just Revis. I'm talking about the whole NFL.
Okay.
Do you think to be classified as the top cornerback, one of the top tier cornerbacks in the NFL, you have to be able to shut down the best wide receivers?
So define tier. What do you mean by tier?
The best 5, 10. Let's go out there and say the best 10.
10, no.
Best 5?
Best 3 are going to have the ability to lock up that top receiver.
You think so?
And I'm not talking about top receiver on any team. I'm talking top receivers in the NFL.
So where would
you could have the Titans who don't have anybody.
Where would you classify Malcolm Butler in the NFL?
I would say Malcolm Butler's got to be a lower end top 10.
Would you say he's a lower end top 10?
Yeah, maybe 11.
When he goes out
10.
there next year and plays, well, this past season that we had, and they played the Steelers, and Antonio Bryant just torched him. And I think we had this conversation before. Do you think he is a better option than Revis or no?
I would rather have Malcolm Butler than Darrelle Revis right now. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I think when you're at the bottom of the top tier of cornerbacks, you're going to get torched occasionally.
See, where I'm going with this is that I don't think it's necessarily about the cornerback always shutting down the wide receiver. There's so many schemes, so many different things to do. when you're playing a team that has two good wide receivers, sometimes it's better if you don't have that shutdown cornerback, that number one cornerback. It's better to put the better cornerback on the second wide receiver and then double coverage of the best cornerback. Well, best wide receiver, excuse me.
So are we taking Darrelle Revis out of shutdown cornerback classification officially?
I think it's
early.
I think it's too early to say that. I mean,
but he got smoked in this one game.
He got completely killed in this game. I mean, there's no doubting that.
They were targeting him, and this is something I wanted to bring up for fantasy. You got to pay attention to these really, really good cornerbacks who come in there. And who's the guy in the Browns? Joe Hayden, although his head is broken. I believe his head is just not
he hasn't been right for a while.
But if your number one receiver is going against Darrelle Revis, or your number two, let's say your number two receiver is going against Darrelle Revis, do you consider benching him?
I think there's too many variables there because let's say you have Darrelle Revis playing on the...
All right, so they got Buffalo this week.
Right. What I'm saying,
Sammy
though, is...
Watkins. You benching Sammy Watkins because he's covered by Darrelle Revis?
I think there's too many things to think about. I think you have to...
Well, you got about 3 hours to think of it because it's Thursday. So,
I'm getting there, buddy. I don't think it's the point about the wide receiver going against a number one cornerback. I think it's about the wide receiver going against the cornerback on that particular defensive team.
okay.
It's not just about the cornerback. That one matchup, I don't think is going to be something that I'm going to factor in too much.
Shoot from the hip right now. Sammy Watkins, sit him, start him. Darrelle Revis. Is Darrelle Revis going to influence your system?
This week, I would sit him just because he doesn't seem healthy.
Yeah, his foot doesn't look good. Okay, so we're going to move on to a topic that John likes. We're talking daily fantasy, subject to huge lawsuits. We're talking DraftKings and all the other ones versus season. Which one do you prefer, John?
I like the weekly. The season fantasy has, like we talked about before, way too many variables. I don't think there's any skill involved in it at all. You have injuries left and right.
Yep.
All you're doing is picking players. A lot of luck involved. With the weekly ones, I think it's more skill-based, more knowledge. You have to know more about football to do it. You take a look each week, what each team's playing, which players you want to pick that week, and you go about it that way. With the yearly ones, I mean, it's something fun to do with your friends, something to joke around about, mess around, give your friends shit about. But ultimately, it really has no skill or really any value, any meaning.
Yeah.
But the weekly ones, I mean, I think that's where knowledge actually comes into play, and people that know something about football could put it to use more than something like fantasy.
I got to tell you, I've never played the daily fantasy. Never played it.
You know how it works, though, right?
Yeah. You you get a budget, and this guy costs this much, that guy costs this much. I hear about it all the time because I'm one of those nerds who listens to a lot of fantasy football podcasts, fantasy stuff. So I hear about it all the time. Never played it. Frankly, John, I don't need another vice in my life. I've got enough bad habits.
There's no such thing as too many vices.
Is that true?
For us now.
Is this your legal advice, John Morgan?
That is
attorney at law.
Yes.
Need more vices. Okay, so there we go. We're going to move on to one of my favorite parts. We're moving on. John, who wants to root for success, John?
Well, obviously,
come on,
we don't
it's
like
boring.
Doing this show. Especially when you're somebody like Lou who hates to see other people succeed.
I hate it. I can't stand it.
And that's why some sort of deep-rooted issue that I've yet to get to the bottom of, but hopefully one day we can sort it out.
I tell you, me too, John.
As Lou pretends to be a lawyer, I'm going to pretend to be a therapist.
I am also trying to get to the bottom of it. If you get anywhere, let me know. I hate watching other people succeed. That's why I will never let you succeed. So let's talk about our worst quarterback league where I firmly trounced John Morgan.
Yeah,
just trounced him.
I think, unfortunately,
within an inch of his life.
This is going to be an ongoing thing with our quarterback picks. Me and Lou have some sort of, on some things we have the same opinion, so we're going to be, let's say, at a coin flip sometimes.
Pretty much, yeah.
On who we're going to pick for a quarterback.
So let's go over the scores.
Who's your start there, buddy? Who do you think this week?
Well, let's go over last week. I had Trevor Siemian, got his 9 points in our league.
What was his name?
Seaman.
There we go.
Trevor Seaman. And
get it right.
And John Morgan had Blaine Gabbert, who got 14. So I won by 5 points there. The real pick this week was a laughably bad Case Keenum. That was horrible.
Horrible.
It was so bad. Oh, my God. He looked horrendous.
You'd
out
think
there.
he actually wouldn't even do as bad as he did, considering that they were all over Gurley. You'd think
Yeah.
Keenum would actually have a chance to
Yeah.
do something, and that was not the case at all.
Can we justify a $43 million contract for Tavon Austin?
Not if he doesn't have anybody to throw him the ball.
They threw him like 11 times.
Not
11 times they threw him, I think.
Now, did you watch the game?
I watched parts of it.
Now, that game right there, so many things went wrong in that game. I couldn't believe how good San Francisco 49ers defense did. I mean, you say it that Tavon Austin isn't worth it, but the defense that was thrown out there, I mean, they did a great job. Let's give credit where credit's due.
True story. I think Jared Goff. Did you see where Jared Goff was on the depth chart?
Isn't he
Three.
He's third, yeah.
Third. So he cannot beat out the guy that got beat out by Case Keenum, by that guy who was so bad. So bad. That they must feel really shitty about Jared Goff right now.
I don't think that's so much it. I think they're trying to protect him more than anything. He didn't have a good preseason at all, but just because you're third in the depth chart, I mean, I don't think they want him to be the guy that's coming in a football game where your quarterback's getting just annihilated. That's not how they want to.
That's not going to help him
That's not how
develop.
they want to start their franchise quarterback.
Look what happened to RG3.
They're just doing that to protect him. So let's not read anything into that.
Okay, so we're going to move on. John, what's your pick? Who do you like this week? Who's going to be the worst? Who's going to throw the most picks? Who's going to get murdered and fumble?
So
who are we going to laugh at next week?
What I really don't like picking quarterbacks at home in this, and for the second week in a row, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Which is really against my better judgment. I'm going to go with the guy we just talked about. I'm going to go with Case Keenum.
Case Keenum.
He's going against the Seahawks. I mean,
how can you not pick Case Keenum?
You do want to say that they're back to L.A.
Yeah.
You're going to hope that
all those diehard L.A. Rams
all those huge
fans.
L.A. fans that I think we all know if they don't do anything, they're just going to go far away and crawl themselves into a hole somewhere.
And then they'll move to Oakland for the 9th time.
But that's what I'm going to go with, going against Seattle's defense.
Okay.
A big thing here is there was no way the Rams were going to start Goff against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't even a chance. I don't care how bad Keenum played. That wasn't going to happen. So
All right.
You never know. This could be a point where he gets just annihilated and they start bringing Goff.
They might carry him off on a stretcher in this game. So that's a great pick. I can't argue with that. That's an awesome pick. So my choices came down to two guys. We got Blaine Gabbert, which was your pick last week, who's on the road at Carolina, and McCown for the Browns. McCown, so it was a tough pick, but if you look at McCown's stats,
He's had some good games.
There were times in his career where he was pretty good. He was never great, but he was pretty good. Blaine Gabbert has never been good ever.
I think the thing, though, with McCown, when he was good, he actually had some receivers around him he could throw the ball to.
Yeah.
Now
He was good for like half a season, like the second half of a season.
That's
I remember.
about it.
But Blaine Gabbert's never been good. And he's on the road at a fast and athletic Carolina Panthers defense, and this could be another ambulance game.
If this is the direction where it's going to seem like our show is going to be throwing the same quarterbacks back and forth at each other.
Pretty much.
Week in and
We're
week
going to
out.
hear a lot of McCown. We're going to hear a lot of Blaine Gabbert. Case
I don't
Keenum.
think we're going to hear a lot of Keenum though, because I don't see his
might be
life.
dead after
yeah,
this game.
I don't see him.
Hopefully his wife has an insurance policy on him. Is that what you're saying?
Can we talk about something else too? Why we're talking about Keenum and Goff? Where the hell did Carson Wentz come from this week?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
More than pretty good. He was very good. And being number 2 pick in the draft, they went right out there, started, played great. Well, played great once he was in there. Took me very much by surprise.
Nowhere near as handsome as Jimmy Garoppolo, but it might have been a little bit better than Garoppolo. He was pretty good there, John. So, all right, those are our picks. I want Blaine Gabbert to get murdered, and you want Case Keenum to get murdered even harder. Is that correct?
I think that's the goal here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a goal. We're rooting for failure because that's what we like. We're bad people. John, you're a bad person, right?
I'm slightly better person than you, but I wouldn't consider myself a good person.
I'll allow that. That's probably true. So anyways, that's fantasy football for us, guys. We're going to move on to you degenerates, and John Morgan's going to be your bookie. Is that right, John?
That's it. I'm going to be your bookie, buddy.
Oh, I can't wait.
Coming up, the man that knows more about physical buffets in Las Vegas than Frank Sinatra, John Morgan, continues moving the line.
You already know Kowloon Restaurant, established in 1950 and spanning 4 generations, serves a multi-Asian menu. Did you also know that Kowloon Restaurant is New England's premier Asian dining and entertainment complex, serving Cantonese, Szechuan, Thai, and Polynesian cuisine? And did you know that Kowloon Restaurant is also the home of the finest Japanese sushi? If you haven't dined at Kowloon Restaurant lately, then you simply haven't dined at Kowloon. Kowloon Restaurant, Route 1 North in Saugus.
Welcome back, NFL Moving the Line. Week 2, here are your hosts, Lou Saban, John Morgan.
Lou Saban here, John Morgan there.
Welcome back.
Say hi, John.
How you doing? Welcome back.
Welcome back. We got John Morgan. So John makes fun of me a lot on this podcast. I think that's pretty evident.
Back and forth.
He calls me a fake attorney. I'm actually a real attorney. I'll prove that to you by registering Physical Buffet as a trademark for John Morgan, because that's beautiful and I love it, and I want to do that for you as a friend.
That would be good. And then, yeah, I might have to. I don't even know what to say about that one.
You probably shouldn't say anything. As your attorney, I advise you to stay silent.
Our producer definitely just stumped me there and couldn't even say anything about that.
But Johnny, are you ready to move the line? Pay attention.
I'm ready to move the. I'm ready to move the line.
He's
Are you
folks.
ready to pick the line?
I'm ready to pick the line.
All right, hold on. Before we get into this, though,
right.
For all the degenerates out there, we do have to talk about one football game.
Ooh.
Hopefully, Lou watched it.
Okay.
The Colts and the Lions.
I do not think I saw the Colts
High-scoring
Lions.
game, 39-35 final score.
Oh, I saw the first half.
So 35-39 final score.
Oh, Colts were down. Colts were down big.
Colts were down big. They came back.
Then they came back.
Ended up taking the lead. You know, for all the people that actually do watch football, I'm not going to give you a recap on that. We'll just go ahead there. But they were favored by 2.5 points. And for all those gambling degenerates out there who decided to do those teases, how everybody loves, and take the Colts, they were up by 2. And, well, the spread was 2. They were getting 2 with it. And a safety at the end of the game, they kick it off. The ball
Did you tease it up or down?
I didn't take anything.
Oh,
so
okay.
the Patriots, Patriots didn't play that game, guys. Sorry. The Colts were getting 2 points, 2.5 points with the tease. And so 2 seconds left in the game, all set to win for all those people that bet in the Colts. They kick the ball off. The ball just gets thrown backwards for a lateral. Another lateral rolls into the end zone. Safety.
Oh, no.
Next thing you know, you see Ed Hockley come out, put his hands over his head, and it just made everybody who bet in the Colts cry.
That's what we call that a bad beat.
That is a very bad beat for all those gambling degenerates who love teases.
A lot of guys taking their cars to pawn shops after that one and
Not good.
trying to get out of their divorce settlements or maybe getting a new divorce settlement.
Possibly.
Football season. Get your divorces ready, folks.
And
It's
this is
that
time for Lou to pick, though. So we have our 3 games
Yeah?
for Lou to pick.
How much am I up, John? I think
You're
I'm
up $5. You took
big
for the
time.
game that he loved
Big
so
time.
much, you decided to take the little number.
Yeah,
So
I didn't
let's
go
see if
big.
he has any more
Starting
balls.
out small.
See if he has any more balls today.
Gotcha.
We got the Jets, 2.5 point favorites over the Bills.
Where?
This game is in Buffalo.
Buffalo.
The Steelers, 5 point favorites over the Bengals. The Steelers, they're in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Cardinals, 9 point favorites over the Bucks.
So
And this game, needless to say, is in Arizona.
let's go over this again. So these are John Morgan's lines.
These are my picks.
These are not Vegas lines.
I am playing the bookie for Lou Saban.
Yeah, so he makes up these lines. He's a longtime gambler. He loves kind of coming up with the lines by himself in order to give him kind of a gauge where he thinks the line should be, and that makes it a lot easier for you to take the bets when you actually see the lines. Is that right?
Yeah, not so much where I think it should be, but maybe it plays some sort of a factor in there to, see where it makes it easier for someone to pick. Makes it easier for myself to pick.
Gotcha. And I get a chance here to wager my own money on John's lines, and that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so game 1, we had the Jets by 2.5 over Buffalo. I don't think I can put money on the Jets. Fitzpatrick looked horrible in that game. I think I got to pass on that one. And we had
Steelers, 5 points over the Bengals.
5 is a little. That's not bad. The Steelers own the Bengals. I feel like they beat them every year, and the Steelers are really good. And D'Angelo Williams is an excellent backup running back. He's
really, having a great season. Well, he had a great season last year.
He was great last year with Le'Veon Bell.
Off to a good start.
This year, already a really good start. And, man, they just keep getting...
He single-handedly killed me in fantasy.
Oh, God. They keep pulling these wide receivers just out of nowhere. And they got another one last week. What was it? Eli Eli Rogers? Who the fuck is this guy?
You think he's a one-game wonder, or you think he's going to continue it?
All I know is that they're always just pulling these receivers out of nowhere, and they're always amazing. Can we do that with one? Can we draft one receiver that's amazing?
Listen, I'll take it if Belichick can't draft a receiver, as long as he just plucks these random guys from nowhere and makes them good. I mean, that's his version of drafting a receiver.
Absolutely. And so the third game, so we had the Cardinals in Phoenix by 9 over the Bucks. So I won on the Bucks last week, but I feel like we could be seeing a real vengeance game from the Cardinals. Although I can't in good conscience bet on the Bucks, but 9 points is a lot. I personally think that the Cardinals could win that by 14. They could win it by 21. But who knows? Jameis Winston threw 4 touchdowns last week. He could have a really good game. My heart is saying to me that Pittsburgh owns the Bungles. Give me Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh by 5.
So how much?
I'm going to go 10.
10,
I feel
you like
good.
it.
I think the Bungles are a
Divisional
fraud.
game.
What's that?
Divisional game.
Divisional game. I think the Bungles are a fraud, just like they are every year. And yeah, give me the Steelers. So we just moved the line, John.
We moved the line.
I'm ready.
10 points on Lou.
10
We'll
bucks.
keep
Yeah.
our running tally going here.
All right. So there we go. I'm being a degenerate. Now John is here to help you be a degenerate. He's going to give you his picks of the week. What do you got, Johnny?
We're going to go with 4 picks this week.
Okay.
We got the Cardinals. Actually, let's backtrack there because we didn't actually
we didn't go over the actual
we didn't tell our
lines.
guests the real lines for the game. So on the Jets-Bills, the Bills are actually favored by a point over the Jets.
So you think the Jets are 2 points better, I guess?
Well, I don't say that.
Yeah. Okay.
This is
You don't think-
the
so the Bills are favored.
The Bills are favored
Tyrod
by,
Taylor looked bad. He did not look good.
They're at home this week, though. I mean, they're at home playing. It's a divisional game. You know how these games go.
This is gonna be an ugly game.
You pretty much get 3 points for being a home team. So
This is going to be an ugly game, and I don't think I'm going to want to watch it.
I want to watch it because I want to take a look and see who our divisional opponents are, see how good they are, see how bad they are.
What was the next line?
The Jets have a really tough first 6 games, so they really have to at least go 3-3 to have a chance. Steelers Bengals. The Steelers are actually favored by 3 points in that game.
Steelers by 3. Oh man, I feel personally, if I were giving out picks of the week, I love that. I love Steelers by 3. I love them so much. Obviously, I took them at 5. So I did not make the right Vegas bet, but I still feel great about the bet. And what's the third line, John?
Cardinals 6.5 points over the Buccaneers.
Yeah, 9's a lot.
I love.
I would
this game.
feel 6.5. They're begging you.
6 points over the Buccaneers.
They are begging you to take the Cardinals. Right there.
I see this line changing as the week goes on.
Yeah.
I think the Cardinals are going to go up a little bit there. But at this point right now, I love the Cardinals in that game.
Okay, so we're just a couple points off on each of those. And, the picks of the week, Johnny. What do you
Picks
got?
of the week coming up right now, we have I love the Cardinals over the Bucs at 6 points.
Love it, too.
That's one of them.
Yep.
I'm going to take the Bears over the Eagles at 3 points.
Bears.
The Bears.
You like the Bears?
I wouldn't say I love the Bears. And
Not as much as you like the Browns?
As much as I don't see Carson Wentz coming back and having another game like that.
Okay.
This is more about Carson Wentz having a little fall off from the first week.
Gotcha.
So I think the Bears being home, I'm going to go with the Bears on that one.
Okay.
I'm going to do something that I would never advise anyone to do is take a teaser because we all know what a tease is. And it always looks good, but you get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals and the Jets. I'm going to tease the Cardinals and the Jets. So ultimately, for all those people out there who don't know what that means, the Cardinals just have to win the game, and the Jets are getting 7 points.
So you take 6 points.
Yep, that's what you get in a tease on 2 teams, 6 points. So
6
the Cardinals
points.
just have to win the game, and the Jets are getting 7 points.
Okay.
In the last one here,
Okay.
I'm going to take the Dolphins, getting 6.5 points over the Patriots.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Where's
It's in New England, Lou.
in New England?
Yep.
Getting 6. Did you say 6 or 6.5?
6.5. So the reason why I'm going to go with this
This is
is
a tough one.
I think that front line of the Dolphins, we talked about it earlier on in the show, it could be one of those games where they get after Garoppolo, and by no means am I saying they're going to lose, but I think this game could come down to a field goal. I think it could be a slugfest. It could
John,
be
I
a
think-
game in the trenches.
I think I'm coming around to this. I'm not sure how you can take the Patriots
divisional
by
game.
more than 3
I
over
think
just
it's a
about
tough
anybody
one.
right now.
So, going off of last week, I went 2 for 5 last week, which is not going to win anybody money. But it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So we'll see how it goes. But I think my ultimate pick of the week is doing a tease on the Cardinals and Jets. That is what I really like, and I would put your money on that.
And listen to him,
And
folks.
you can give me all the credit if you win, and none of the hatred if you lose.
Okay. I'm not going to give you any credit, and I'm going to give you all the hatred. Is that good?
Well, it usually works,
That's usually what we do, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, John, that's the show for today. You got any last words? Anything you want to say?
Hopefully you can join in, watch the show, listen next week, and me and Luke can pretend with our fake careers, with him being a lawyer, me being a therapist, and you enjoy our banter.
Yeah. So thanks very much. Lou Saban, John Morgan, thanks for moving the line.
Have a good day, guys.
Fans, that's all for this week's NFL Moving the Line Week 2. Enjoy the games. Check us out on Year 1, YouTube, iTunes, Twitter, as we continue to grow and expand. John Morgan, Lou Saban with you each and every week. The National Football League. Until we speak again, you and yours, be well.